Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to day 2 of the Overwatch Apex Challengers Promotion Tournament. I am Seth Achilleos King alongside Wolf. We'll be bringing you the action here for our second day. As you can see on your screen, we already have MVP Space and Afreeca Freecs Red ready to go. Afreeca Freecs, I hope that their little cheer is not indicative of the synergy of this squad. They've been together for a while now, so hopefully the in-game is a little bit better than the out-of-game.
I would hope so. They're one of the oldest Overwatch teams we have in Korea. Definitely one of the most popular, and also, basically from the beginning of Overwatch's history, considered to be one of the best. Things have changed since then. They did not qualify for Apex, and now is their chance to go into Season 2. They have a sister team, of course, Afreeca Blue, which is not in this tournament, but you can see that even though their jerseys are blue there, they are the red team. They are the team that was considered to be stronger for a long time. They're sponsored, of course, by basically the biggest streaming platform in Korea on Afreeca TV, where you see people streaming anything from games to eating food to dancing or just talk shows. So it's a big sponsor behind them. It's important to have sponsors like this early on in a new esport in Korea. And both these teams, in fact, MVP, a long-standing sponsor, a long-standing team that has a lot of history in Korea. So these two teams clashing off against each other already kind of gives you the idea that this game is big in Korea right now, and people are putting money into it.
Yeah, and I mean, this is sort of a similar situation to our first match from yesterday in LW Red versus Runaway, in the sense that Afreeca Red was one of the teams that everybody really thought was going to get into Apex, more so than Afreeca Blue, who ended up being our second-place team in the first season of Apex. So everybody at the beginning said, you know what, Afreeca Red, they're definitely going to make it in. Luxury Watch Red, they're going to make it in. So Red is basically the curse to making it into Apex. You just won't make it if you have that in your title.
That's right.
So they're going to try to turn that around today. Of course, the original roster of Afreeca Red, when they did fail to qualify, did have Recry on there, and then after they failed to qualify, but Afreeca Blue made it in, they swapped Recry over to the Blue squad. So he's not on this team, hasn't been since the beginning of October, I believe.
That's right, and Afreeca Freecs Blue did do well in APAC. They got to the finals of Apex. But before that tournament started, everyone said Red was the better team. They were the stronger team. That curse continues, as you mentioned. Luxury Watch Red also losing their match yesterday. But this team, now reformed, I'd say no longer the team that everyone thought was the stronger team. Definitely the weaker just on results alone. But here's our format here. Our schedule, of course, we started yesterday. We're going until Friday the 23rd. We have double elimination best of fives. And both red teams I just mentioned are coming from challengers trying to get into Apex. The Meta, Mighty AOD, and MVP Infinity join them. And from Apex, we have Rhinos, MVP Space, and Runaway.
Yeah, so we saw Runaway and Rhinos Gaming yesterday. Runaway was able to beat LW Red, so they move on to the winner's match. Just have to win one more best of 5. I believe we'll see that tomorrow. And if they can do so, they will qualify for Apex. Rhinos Gaming, however, losing their set to the Meta, really hard fought. That one went to 5 games. If you haven't seen it, I do highly suggest that you go back and watch that, because there was some fantastic plays from both sides. But you can see the bracket right here, as we were explaining. So LW, 1 match away from getting knocked out in Group A. Runaway, that 1 match away from getting back in to Apex. And then we have our match today, MVP Space versus Afreeca Freecs.
That's right. Whoever wins this match will face Runaway for potentially getting directly advancing to Apex Season 2. The loser will face LW Red. And as you just mentioned, the loser of that match will be knocked out. They'll be knocked down to Challenger again. They'll have to fight their way back up. So this is really the purgatory tournament, if you will, of Apex. You go up or you go down, and this is where it's all decided. Here's Group B, of course.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about MVP Space and Afreeca Freecs Red today, but of course we're also going to be seeing the sister team of MVP, Infinity, which failed to get into Apex, but has been doing really consistently in Challenger, and they're going to be looking to make their way in, as they will take on Mighty AOD in our second match of the day.
Mighty AOD coming from a long-standing organization in Korea as well, having a Heroes of the Storm team for quite some time that actually got a top 4 at OGN's Heroes tournament. So it's an org that's, I'd say, newer, but definitely has been around long enough to be a respected organization in Korea, and we'll see if they can actually bring it in today. That's kind of the story of today's match, is you've got Afreeca, you've got 2 MVP teams, and of course Mighty. So these organizations investing early on in this this esport, this new esport in Overwatch, and if you are investing this money, you want to get exposure to sponsors, you need to get into Apex. You want to be in the Premier Tournament.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we saw, teams like Runaway, if they had not gotten back into Apex, things, could be a little shaky for them. So they're still not out of the woods in that regard, but they're one win away from getting there. But it is certainly something that these teams want, because the sponsor going to be significantly more likely to give you money if you're in the Premier League rather than in the Challenger League. It's the same thing across most esports. We see that especially in North America. A lot of Challenger teams, around the MOBA scene, just kind of sizzle out because there's no sponsors that really want to give them any cash.
Sometimes you see nameless or sponsorless teams that everyone's trying to look to sponsor, but everyone's carefully waiting until that team gets into Premier. MVP is an organization that has really been around since StarCraft 2. They had a very successful StarCraft 2 squad, also won team leagues in that esport. Then to have two very successful League of Legends teams, and then of course moving into Heroes of the Storm, one of the most, if not the most consistent Heroes of the Storm team of all time, and now investing in Overwatch as well, picking up early talent. They're known for their talent scouting. However, in Apex, MVP space was argued by many to be the weakest team, and we'll see how much they've improved with this new roster. They are bringing Climax, Undyne, and Xenocide, 3 new players in this roster.
Yeah, and again, this was the same question that we had for Runaway. How much improvement has happened since the last time we saw these guys play? Because MVP was one of the few teams that had absolutely 0 wins, and they were the only team that didn't even have a single map win. There were 0-3 in match sets and 0-9 for maps. They did not take a single map off of anybody in their group. They were alongside BK Stars, who topped that group, went on to the playoffs with NRG and Kongdu Uncia. So they did have some tougher competition, but still, not being able to take a single map is pretty damning for a team. So having these 3 new members in, you have to expect that they've been practicing very hard, that they've been working on their synergy, and that they're going to have a stronger showing for us here today than they did in Apex last time.
That's right. Moving on to their opponents, Afreeca Freecs Red, only having 1 roster swap, bringing in TY Dala, as we'll be mostly calling Dala, on this roster. And mostly unchanged from what we've seen in the past, besides the changes you described, right? I'm talking about going through Challenger to go into this promotion tournament. Obviously a different roster than we had before Season 1. Quartermain going to be the shot caller and support here. And this team, again, has a lot of hype behind it. There's a lot of notoriety based off of what was started once this esport began in Korea, but they've yet to show results internationally. They haven't been able to qualify for that Premier League. This is their opportunity to get to the winner's match. And again, we talked about this yesterday. We saw a lot of favorites fall. We saw a lot of matches that were closer than many predicted them to be. But again, Afreeca Freecs Red is the favorite going to this one, especially considering the 0-9 map score of space that you just described.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, having that for space really does kind of set them up for failure, or at least an expected failure. But Afreeca Freecs Red have also faltered a little bit throughout their time in Challenger. First Challenger split going through, 2nd place under Luxury Watch. Red's 2nd season of Challenger, they fell to 5th place underneath of the meta Luxury Watch, Mighty AOD, who we're going to be seeing later, as well as MVP Infinity, who will be taking on Mighty in our 2nd match of the night. So Afreeca Freecs Red, they have had a rough time of things since the start of Challenger. Dipped a little bit, so they're going to be looking to compensate for that as we get ready to go into our first map. We're going to be kicking things off with King of the Hill, and it looks like we're going to be headed to Nepal.
Nepal. Yesterday we had Lijiang for our first King of the Hill. It will be Nepal this time, so we're going to find out who is better at holding those zones. We've seen a lot of control on this map go early, and then even the gates can be blocked if you have a Mei. And controlling that zone is important if you can get a team wipe early on. Yeah,
I mean, we saw the meta absolutely destroy Rhinos Gaming Titan yesterday on this map. We started with Nepal as well, and, retook the cap within about 15%, I think, of Rhinos, and then just didn't let them back into Sanctum at all. Completely shut them out and got that point ticking from 0 to 100%, and one fell swoop is a really strong showing from them. Faltered a little bit throughout the rest of the set. But they were able to close it out in the end. So we'll see if these guys are going to have that same amount of dominance, that same amount of control and zoning that we saw on display from Meta yesterday.
I've been told A-Tune on Afreeca Red is playing a lot of McCree right now, and we saw a little bit of that yesterday. Even though he's not fully meta, he's not normally the DPS that we do end up seeing.
Yep, well, all right, let's go ahead. Dive right into our first map of the day. It's Nepal, a best of 5 MVP Space versus Afreeca Freecs Red. Oh, we didn't get it. Feels bad, man. But all right, welcome to Nepal, ladies and gentlemen. Gonna be kicking things off with Village.
That we will. And Atune, curious to see what he's going to be playing on this map. He's showing the Symmetra at first, but of course on these control point maps, you don't always see that choice go through. You see the swap 5 seconds before the gates open oftentimes. For Space, we do see the soldier composition, double support and triple tank. I think that will be standard. And we will see Atune go onto the McCree again, something he's known for right now. We'll see if that actually gets value. There's not a lot of space to work with on this map unless you can control the high ground to get picks. We're going to see this neutral zone here contested. And Dala flies right in here. And is going to be healed, trying to actually zone so Atune can get the damage done. He gets picked off by Climax. Kuki does go down to 2 for 2.
Yeah, it's going to be maybe good trades coming across the board. Double Zarya coming up from both squads to try to deal with those divas, but lose one. Xenocide really low, 18 HP left, and Quarterman, he's going to jump up there, punch him in the face, and picks up that kill, and it looks like MVP Space will be taking the first cap. For how long they'll be able to hold this, we'll have to wait and see. Because Atune with this McCree is going to be trying to do some work, trying to get those picks and just keep landing those headshots. So far, so good for MVP, though not allowing Afreeca to get a charge in
They
yet.
have control of the high ground here, and Daly is building his self-destruct very quickly. They're just going to let Afreeca Freecs Red walk right into the point. They're going to try to contest this with Reinhardt. Sleep Dart immediately soloing him out here. Atune taking some damage to seal his block, but he's actually finding a lot of DPS himself. His Deadeye is ready. We'll see if Daly wants to use a self-destruct to try to contest. And actually, they won't need to, as Afreeca Freecs Red is 3 down, and they will have to retreat.
Yeah, this is going to be really rough moving forward for Afreeca Freecs. Only have the 2 ultimates. Dala not even halfway to his self-destruct. Lagerman, fortunately, almost has the Graviton Surge, but even then, MVP Space, they're about to have all 6 ultimates. And if they can just stagger those, there's almost no way that Afreeca Freecs can get a cap. And you can see that Deadeye already coming through, but the Reinhardt shields are blocking both sides.
Kuki as well coming over to help block here. Climax is going to pop Tac Visor, but no targets here. But it's just a zoning tool, and Space will continue to control this zone. Dala switched over to the Genji after he was unsuccessful with D.Va. He does have that Zarya for support. Here's the Graviton Surge coming in as well, though, against him. And that is a wipe.
And this is exactly what I said was going to happen. Too many ultimates on the side of MVP Space for Afreeca Freecs to deal with, and they're going to get almost team killed yet again. Only have Lagerman's ultimate. Quartermain's finally coming up for the squad, but 84% Afreeca Freecs, they have to make something happen now, or they're just going to lose this first round.
They have Graviton Surge, but there's no Dragon Blade to follow through with it. They're still going to try to go for it 10% away from grabbing that Earth Shatter as well. Daly does have the defensive self-destruct available here. A huge Biotic Grenade does go down. They get 2 picks. This may be the beginning of the start, what they need.
Yeah, Daly not going to find anything with that self-destruct, and the rest of MVP Space are going down. Xenocide going to be the last one to fall, and it's just Daly stuck inside the point. He's going to try to retreat, but Dala is sticking to him like glue, hitting him from behind with those stars. Deflection won't find the kill, but I think they'll be happy just knocking him into Baby Diva form. And Afreeca Freecs, they finally find a cap at 99%.
99%, but momentum has shifted here. They'll need to hold it for 80% more here as they hit 20. Space trying to find a way, and they don't have ults yet. Sylph was about to have his nano boost, but there's nothing to pair it with just yet. They don't have the Graviton Surge either. Here comes an Earth Shatter, though, right around the wall. A big mistake by Space. We saw this happen to them actually in Apex, and here we go a second time in the exact same map, walking right into it. And 5-6 dead make it a full wipe there. You got to check for that before you just walk in as 6.
Yeah, now Atune, I mean, they could do a similar play. We're going to get a flashback of this, and just beautiful, just hugging that corner by Take This. is that massive Earth Shatter through. Won't build up as much ulti-meter as I would have expected from him, knocking down that many players, but still, the rest of his team is able to sweep right through there. Now Dala gonna go ahead and pick up that Dragon Blade, finds two already, make that a third as he just cuts right through Sylph like a hot knife through butter. And that is going to be Freecs maintaining the hold. Space now starting to falter after such a dominant start, struggling to make their way back toward the point.
I have to completely agree, and this was without a Graviton Surge. 72% currently held. Climax, Kuki, and Sylph, all with their old seed aside, very close here. They're going to set up for one final push. Doesn't look like Daily will have self-destruct, not at least initially when they do enter, but they were going to have almost every other ult. 4 going to be available. Xenocide now has his Graviton Surge. We'll see how he decides to use it.
Oh, yeah, Climax. Nice Helix Rockets will find Dala inside the room, and he's going to work his way through Quartermain. That's going to be some crucial picks coming in for the Soldier and MVP Space. Getting rid of that one heal. The Graviton Surge will come through. That's going to be the Pulse Bomb thrown down, but it's not going to find anything. D.Va completely blocking that one out. Nicely done by Daily. Gonna try to just work through the remaining members of Freecs and finalize this cap. Looks like they may be able to get it. No, Dala, he makes his way back in on the Genji.
Yep, he is dead now though. Self-destruct here used defensively. There's the kill on to take this, and it looks like that will be the first map, the first point I should say, going to MVP Space.
Yeah, really a little bit rough for them at the end, but they are able to finish it out. Freecs look like they might have been able to swing that one back into their favor. But really good tack visor coming through from Climax. Finding those crucial picks, especially onto that Lucio. Just getting rid of that AoE heal does wonders for you.
It really feels like Space had such control of the map when they had the high ground, but when they had to enter the choke point, they really struggled with that. I think it's because they were so focused on, of course, Climax there. Climax is really the story here of this game. When he couldn't find picks, when he couldn't get space, no pun intended, it was pretty tough for him to actually get damage done, but that one opportunity led to just enough for them to push through with all the ults they had. As we go into Sanctum now, it's actually my favorite King of the Hill map.
I have to agree with you. Lijiang is not for me, nor is most of the Ilios maps, but Sanctum, it always feels good to play on this one. Tune trying to get that flashbang up over the Reinhardt shield, won't find it. The charge through comes in, and Dala, he's going to go down, getting pinned in by Kuki, who's not even punished for that. And we can see already Freecs getting pushed back towards the entry to their spawn. A really good pushback by MVP. Can they maintain it? It's going to be the question, because we saw from that first round, looks good when it comes to defending, but the retakes, something that they might need to work on.
Daily here, the D.Va player on the side of Space, does lose his mech here, and in fact is ignored in the back until Dala finds him. But I do want to mention, the Freecs are running no D.Va right now, just like last game. They didn't start out with it, they started with Dala, or rather, excuse me, A-Tune on the McCree. He wasn't able to find much this time. They're trying to get this cap, and they will secure it, as Undyne is pushed away. The Reinhardt still gonna zone them out. But the McCree, I have to wonder how much value they're really getting out of that with these early pushes, especially at the neutral engage zone where you see the Reinhardt versus Reinhardt, as he can't really hit anybody. The shield is blocking everything, all the damage.
Yeah, it's really going to come down to the Deadeye, grabbing somebody from MVP that just happens to not be behind the Reinhardt, which if you're there, then that's probably a pretty big mistake. You see the Nano Boo's coming out though, on to take this, trying to find some targets, build up that ulti. He has the Earth Shatter available, throws it down, will lock up Daily, and they'll pop the mech. See if they can finalize the kill onto the baby D.Va. So far, he's still alive, and that's going to be a sound barrier coming through as MVP. They look to recap this, but Dala, he has something to say about it, but he gets snuffed out immediately, dying to find the kill, and that's definitely not what was intended.
Yeah, Climax gets moved off there, but that's just a consolation prize, I guess, at the end of all things. Definitely a weak Dragon Blade there, as he switches now back to the D.Va. I think this is definitely a better choice. They do have control still, as Space loses that fight right afterwards. But I like the D.Va choice a lot more. I just feel like it's going to be better, especially if once you get that defensive self-destruct to hold A-Tune. Going to go for that Deadeye. There is a Reinhardt shield blocking, though. The charge not going to be enough to open it up. He doesn't get anybody. Climax gets the pick on take this. And A-Tune's still unable to find value with this McCree choice so far.
Yeah, I think that he might want to, kind of alter his picks here. Maybe go for the Soldier. Very strong pick. He is able to find Xenocide with that headshot. Nice flashbang, take down the shield momentarily. But that's still going to be Kuki relatively safe. And now we can see self-destruct coming through. Daily will find take this. A nice pick off. getting rid of that tanky Reinhardt. In the meantime, the rest of MVP, they've gone and recapped the point. 82% for Afreeca Freecs, just 30 for them.
You know, A-Tune really being the only damage right now, and because he was blocked off in zone there and was struggling to 1v1 a Reinhardt, he gets a Deadeye attempt here, but he's blocked immediately by Daily once more. But, you know, during that time, while he was zoned off with no damage, they couldn't hold the point, and MVP Space takes it back again.
Oh, Max gonna get slept up by that dart. Was able to find a pick onto Quartermain. Charge not gonna connect onto him. He's alive for the moment. Kuki getting that nano boost coming through. Nicely aimed on the flame strike, predicting the motions of Lagerman, and they're able to finish him off in the end.
Yep.
Point almost taken, however, by Afreeca Freecs Red.
They do have control right now. See the Reinhardt charge in. It's going to be a trade here, but he loses the Earth Shatter potential as a result. That's a bit unfortunate, 1-for-1 there. And the point still controlled by MVP Space, or excuse me, by Afreeca Freecs Red. And it looks like they're going to struggle to come in here. They're going to try to go for one more push. All they have is the Earth Shatter, but because Kuki suicided earlier, it's not going to be nearby.
Yeah, they have to get back in here ASAP. They only have that Earth Shatter, as mentioned. Atuni's going to throw up the Deadeye yet again, looking for a pick. Not going to find anybody. Climax, though, with losing that 1v1, gets taken out by Attune, finds the flashbang onto Sylph as well, just wreaking havoc on the back line of MVP Space. They've lost 3 members, and it looks like this might just be a clean take, a clean finish by Afreeca Freecs Red to tie us up 1-1 in rounds.
Definitely will be the case. There's the cap. And we are 1-1 as we go into Shrine, our third map. You know, I was really critical of A-Tune's McCree pick in the early game, and then going into the mid game, it looked like every time he got zoned out, that's when Space was able to find the captures. But Space then pulled their own McCree out, and Climax was there. It was unsuccessful versus A-Tune in the 1v1s that we saw there. And A-Tune was able to find Ana several times to stop that ranged healing, and they ended up winning those fights with the picks there in the end.
Yeah, I mean, this wasn't a McCree that was, you know, winning the matches, winning the round because of the Deadeye, you know, getting a triple kill, getting a, you know, a double kill on the healers or something like that. This was just basically full utility for Attune, and then landing those headshots when it really mattered. But lining up the flashbangs, dropping the Reinhardt shields, you know, and catching Sylph off in the back line with the Ana, making sure that he can't just be consistently healing from range and safety, was really good by Attune. So he does make it work in the end. We'll have to see. Still running with it on this point. Going to make Deadeye a little bit more complicated and harder to aim. This is not a very good angle. But so far, just going to be wrapping around this right side of the map. And Tune's going low as he gets shoved into the corner. And with the help of Climax and Xenocide, he goes down.
Augerman gets taken out here as well. And the trend continues. MVP Space will take the first point. Seem to be having just better control of these neutral engages before the high ground gets taken. This is where they've historically been successful in this series so far as well, with Climax on the high ground. Not on the Soldier this time, but on the McCree, as Dala looks to approach here. Zarya-less lineup on the side of Space as well. They've got the Winston here. They're running both DPSs.
I do like the Winston's going to be there to take care of Dala, who's been really favoring this Genji. He's going to just jump right on top of him. Try to burn him out. Take this is going to be doing the same for Xenocide. See Dala getting flashbanged up, but will not go down. Climax unable to line up the headshot.
Ooh, just barely missing a few shots there as well. Unfortunate, just really hard to get value around this corner. Okay, Dala just barely gets out. Very close call, but the high ground still controlled here for MVP Space. Climax also has his Deadeye available. A-Tune does as well. He just respawned. Dala ahead with his blade. He doesn't have a sound barrier to synergize with it. He can only use the bubble. He is coming forward here. Looks to consider using it.
Trying to poke his way in. Gets taken out mid-dash by Climax. Nice shot by him. He's going to pop the Deadeye. Shield comes down from Take. This has to re-up it. Nice patience, but he will fall. So he gets the kill onto Attune, but Take This is able to take him out. But 4 members down for Afreeca Freecs Red. Just the one from Space falling. And they should still maintain control at this point. Now it's 72%.
A-Tune actually, even though he fell there, still had his Deadeye, but they're so desperate to actually go for a quicker push and to go for harassment picks. He actually switches to Tracer without using his ult, which is obviously, in this situation, what he decides to be best, but he does lose the value of that Deadeye. Daily here already doing so much damage to take this. Meanwhile, Xenocide going to pop that Dragon Blade. He does have Sound Barrier. That's a good pairing. Takes out Navi. Trying to get the pick here onto A-Tune as well. Unable to get it, but does get off the point there. 3 picks, 4 picks on Space, and Afreeca Red will actually take this point by the looks of things. Took him a while to do it. doing it here in overtime. Dala kills the remaining members. They will take the point for the first time.
I mean, CSI trying to get some kills there on the Genji, did get a couple, but at the same time, we had Lagerman and Attune just popping off, had that Graviton Surge come in, lock up a lot of the members of MVP space, and they just burned them out very quickly. It was nicely done, good comboing, and they're able to retake the point at 99%. Freecs, though, they need to hold on to this. If they lose it, that will be the first map going over to MVP.
I feel like they have a really good chance of taking it, though. They have better ult, charges right now as well. Space used a lot of ults, including that Dragon Blade very early on in the fight. Dahl is actually very far ahead for his second one here. Flashbang does get denied on the shield. Space is trying to brute force their way in here. They already lose two, including Sylph. And it looks like this is going to be a held point for Freecs Red, now at 40%. Takes out Undyne as well.
Yeah, and this is okay for MVP. They need to try to take this as soon as possible, but they have some time to build up those ultimates. So it's not the worst case scenario for them, but they need to basically draw out Afreeca's ultimates, force them to use those in skirmishes, stack up their own, and then just sweep in and be able to dump everything on top of them and retake the point.
I mean, with Daly's self-destruct, they have some opportunities to try to push through. They're going to have Deadeye as well, but defensive Earth Shatter is going to be available, and they're so close to having another Dragon Blade here with that sound barrier, so it's going to be very hard, but they need to try to make this happen soon. There's the kill onto Climax, which is going to make this a lot harder. Dalit has that Dragon Blade I was just talking about, picks off Kuki, doesn't even pop the blade yet.
It doesn't feel the need to have to go for it. It's just trying to get this kill in onto Undyne. We'll be able to find it with the help of Navi. And now it's going to be a Genji off, but one hit away. Xenocide is able to get some heals in from the Ana, pick up that health pack as well, and now Dala's the one that goes low, and he has to dash back to his Ana with open arms. And that's going to be the Dragon Blade pop, but Winston, he's going to enrage so he doesn't go down, and Daly sweeps in and takes him out.
All right, this is it, 99-99 here. This fight will likely decide this first map. 2 dead already for the Freecs Red. And the only ult available really on the side of Space is that Deadeye. We do have Sound Barrier now. Yeah, control this.
Sylphin swapped over to the Tracer off the Ana, so it's just going to be Undyne, the only healer here. You see the Sound Barrier will come through. The rest of MVP trying to join their squad.
The Lucio on the tower.
They're going to be as annoying. They're going to be as annoying as possible by just flying around the top of the map. Reinhardt shield here to block the Deadeye, so Climax not going to be getting much profit. Actually, no, finds a duty, dashes in, gets taken out. That's going to be the Nano Boost going over on to take this. We'll see how much damage he can do. Has that Graviton Surge there.
Self-destruct picks one.
Yeah, helps find Undyne, and things are looking pretty good for MVP at the moment. 4 members dead. They'll be able to hold it, and they take it. And that is going to be Nepal going over to MVP Space.
Space takes that first map, and I have to say they played the better series overall, and it really came down to when they were controlling the high ground. The big difference in tactics really was that Space was more committed to the D.Va. They used it a lot more, and sometimes those self-destructs can actually win you the point when it comes down to the overtime at the end. You force everyone to get off. If they ignore the self-destruct, they die. If they avoid it, then they're not on the point, and you have better control at that moment, which can secure that moment there at the very end with overtime. And D.Va's ability to negate a lot of the ults that we saw there, as well as much of the damage, I think is part of the reason why they ended up winning that series. He's such a strong hero right now that Freecs Red just simply is not running.
Yeah, and I mean, this has been the question for a lot of these teams. We see them lose, and it's like, well, you don't have a D.Va on your roster at the moment, so you need to fix that if you want to come in and find victory at Freecs Blue. They had this same exact issue in the Apex Finals versus Envious. We didn't see the D.Va for some time, and then the player that has to perform on it is Arhan, who you want to have on a carry DPS. So seems like the Afreeca organization just might not be too keen on D.Va, which is a very confusing thing to not be too keen on.
Sure.
But that is map 1 over to MVP Space in this best of 5. Now we're going to be moving on to Hollywood.
All right, Hollywood. Not get to see this map yesterday, but we're lucky enough to see it today as our hybrid map. And we'll see D.Va pretty much required on this map. We're going to have to see it come out. How are you ever going to break a high ground with such good setups with only a Reinhardt shield? It's just going to be too difficult to do so, I'd say. And we've seen a lot of different setups on this map with the Symmetra pick coming in. We've seen the shield generators coming down with armor. We've even seen Turbulence come out on this map to hold that first point. So lots of exciting stuff that we could be seeing from these two teams.
Yeah, Widowmaker as well, something that was pretty prevalent in yesterday's matches. We'll see if that might be a pick that comes out, but let's go ahead, not waste any more time, get onto our second map. We're going to Hollywood.
Get it?
All right, we got it that time.
We got it.
We were 100% getting it yesterday, and unfortunately now we're just a 50-50 for day 2. But welcome to Hollywood, ladies and gentlemen. As we can see, Freecs Red will be attacking this first time around, and so far, we're not seeing a diva.
Yeah, this is going to be a very difficult to make work. I really do feel they're going to use Dala on the Genji to try to push through and get picks and harass. We also have A-Tune currently set up on a Hanzo. We'll see if he actually sticks with that or if he's going to swap. As again, the attacking team likes to mess with us. Sometimes we can't always judge a book by its cover at the beginning of the game.
I mean, that is something that we did see yesterday. We saw the Hanzo come out briefly on attack on Eichenwald. So it's not necessarily going to go away. We'll have to see what he wants to do. He's still standing in the room, so he might be able to swap his hero. But
he can also use his first few arrows to get vision of what comp they're up against, and then try to help Dala get a pick.
He's holding it, so it looks like we will have a Hanzo coming out the gate.
Okay, let's take a look at this A-Tune. He's the one who's bringing these heroes in. They just throw some blind arrows out here, looking for some damage, or looking for some ult meter, as he does get discorded. And with a lot of dive at the front, he has a lot of protection. There's no way to get on top of him right now, so he's just getting free shots. He's trying to get the pick here onto Ana, but here comes D.Va, trying to push him away, and turns out D.Va's better than Hanzo right now.
Yeah, not a whole lot you can do in that circumstance. That's going to be a couple kills picked up here so far for MVP Space. They do lose Undyne on that Zenyatta, which has kind of just been the theme every single time we've seen Zenyatta so far throughout this tournament. Very squishy in that backline. You get anybody that can flank, and they will take him out. So that's pretty much going to be Atune's job now that he has swapped over onto this Tracer. Just get in there, disrupt Sylph, disrupt Undyne, and keep them from building up that Transcendence. He's going into the back, trying to find a target. Can't find a whole lot of anything yet, but Dala, he's able to take out the Zenyatta yet again. A double kill coming through now for Freecs Red. They're going to lose a couple of their own players as Dala and Na'Vi do fall, so even exchanges across the board at the moment, but it's going to make it a little bit harder for MVP Space to hold the point, especially after Lagerman is able to take out Daly.
Yeah, they may just simply have to let it go. It's like a little bit of time being bought here, but with the Winston, they are going to just retreat off of the point. Let it go here. Freecs will cap this. And about 2:30 left on the clock, so putting them at 5 minutes to go for this push. Now, you know, we're seeing this reluctance to go triple tank here for Freecs Red. They're keeping D.Va out of the picture, just trying to use Winston to dive and buy space for A-Tune to run in. Here comes Take This doing just that, trying to get on top of Climax.
All right, comes in from behind now. The Dragon Blade from Dala has that sound barrier, and he's going to find a double kill and assist off the third as they take out Kuki. And they should be able to get this D.Va in the back as Daly just doesn't have anywhere to go. He's going to lose that mech. And with 4 kills picked up, that could be a very solid push coming in for Freecs Red.
Dala just going to go and try to build up some more meter at the front here. Climax trying to poke at Rage. Just got to be careful. Doesn't want to get too far out with both A-Tune and Dala playing, you know, the Tracer and the Genji. If you get out alone with no one to support you, you will get killed. And that's exactly what Freecs is trying to count on, using Winston to push those heroes out into the open so A-Tune can get those picks along with Dala. Looking for some harass right now. In fact, finds Climax just like I'm talking about. Doesn't even have to use the Pulse Bomb to get the pig.
Yeah, absolutely destroys him. He saves that Pulse Bomb, tosses it onto Kuki, and will find his second kill coming through. And now just going to use this D.Va as a punching bag to build up more meter, already at 36%. He can dash forward, interrupt the returning members of MVP Space, keep them away from that payload, and let the rest of the team just get a solid push coming through. Already 3.5 minutes, they're almost at the second checkpoint. Afreeca Red, they are moving this thing very steadily.
Yeah, exactly. This is the kind of dive comp that's the dream. This is how you make it work, and they're getting everything they want. Here's a big Graviton Surge, the Winston Shield coming up here as well. They do get 2 picks.
Yeah, they can take this.
So low, he recalls.
Yeah, he ulted and he still gets taken out, so that's going to be a really poorly allocated ultimate coming through from Take This. Definitely not going to be feeling too happy about that one. And now Climax able to hold the point, takes out Attune and Dala, so both the DPS members of Afreeca Freecs gone down.
They do get this stop, this hold for the time being as the cart rolls back very close to that second point. As we see Climax getting a little bit excited here, waiting for this high ground. He's going to take this lift up. He wants to get that money tack visor. Dala already spots him though and should be arriving soon, although as I say that, Climax already has the support up here. He's just going to try to hold this from a distance.
I mean, this is good if we see, I'll take this as actually swapped off the Winston. I was going to say, if we saw the Winston try to jump onto Climax, he would have his own Winston there to support him, but Attune, he dashes over to the saloon, tags him with a bomb, and he goes down, and that's going to open up a pretty good push for Afreeca Freecs if they can just get through these remaining members of MVP space. Self-destruct, not going to find anything from Daly. Now he's just going to jump back in here, trying to take out Navi. He got that biotic grenade to keep himself alive for a little bit longer. Seems to be going pretty well for him, and Attune going to be getting that ultimate back up yet again in just a couple seconds. And that might just be the second checkpoint coming through.
Attune actually trying to slow everyone down from getting back to the point just to allow that cap you just mentioned. Undying here caught. It's going to take a long time to kill him.
Denies the health back.
Yeah, that's really important. He's not actually able to get the pick there, but because of this harassment, because of this time buying, they are able to secure the point, giving them 3 minutes left to try to get that third and final checkpoint.
But look at this, I mean, already Afreeca Freecs, even with the payload all the way back at the start, they're pushing forward into this final room by the trailer. So they are just completely dictating the pace of this game at the moment, have two people pushing that payload, making sure that it's moving along steadily, and the rest of the team is just push forward, disrupting, making sure that MVP can't go contest the payload and stop it from coming up.
Attune is just never giving Climax any room to breathe, and when you are solo DPS and you're always dead, there's just not enough damage to stop this dive pop. We just see another full spawn attempt here. Xenocide does go down. Dala still has self-destruct. They can try to end this point right here, right now. Daly's going to get picked off as well. Attune just left to his own devices here, and that's been the story of this first push.
You see Undyne trying to be sneaky, stopping that payload from moving in, just contesting it from the back, but Attune, he is no fool. He spots him out, they take him out, and that might just be the end of it. Nice sleep dart coming through from Sylph, but it doesn't matter. The rest of Afreeca Freecs, they push it through to the end, and that's going to be a really fast cap coming through.
2 minutes and 8 seconds left there on the clock to work with. And this dive pop got everything it needed. Always Winston in the front lines, disrupting Climax. Remember, Climax was out as the solo DPS. Attune was chasing him down. Dala as well before he switched to D.Va. I think at some point, Dala realized Attune is getting Climax so much, I don't even get that much value on Genji. I'm just going to switch to the D.Va, make this more secure. I'm going to have that last nail in the coffin with the self-destruct for the final push. Didn't even need it, as it turned out, there at the end, but a good switch there. And Attune, if he's left to do that damage on Tracer on these attacks, you know, have to wonder if Space should really just be running the one DPS if it keeps being picked off over and over and over again. Yeah,
might need to see that change up here. So far, they're going to be sticking with the same lineup with Xenocide on the Roadhog, but he's going to be swapping things around maybe just a little bit. Yeah, it's going to be sticking now with the Zarya on attack, but we're on the side of Afreeca Freecs, going to be on that defense. And they have a Zarya of their own in Lagerman. It's like this is just going to be his main role throughout, and Dala, he's going to be coming in on the D.Va. So finally picking this one up for themselves off the bat.
Definitely much earlier than we normally see it. A-T-Tune, I just want to call him A-Tune, I guess it's a tune here, is going to be playing the McCree yet again early on. And there's a shot of him right here. It's going to be the solo DPS with this push, not running Genji with it, and leaving the Tracer out because they are on defense. Not be as much value, especially on this first point for Tracer. Can't really harass. You have to go through the choke point yourself in order to do that. And Climax, once again, the solo DPS, and he will have a lot more space to work with this time with no dive heroes on the side of Red.
I mean, Climax, like, that's, if you're going to run that solo DPS, clearly he is the one to be DPSing. He's been pretty excellent, but as you said, Attune pretty much has his number, and it's just picked him off time and time again, and now he's back on this McCree. If they get into that 1v1, Mattoon will be able to set up that flashbang, come up with a kill, but there we go. Swift Helix Rocket off that flick, and Climax does take out the McCree, and now that's going to be the DPS from Afreeca. Freecs gone away for a little while. Loggerman going low, as is Dala with that mech, but he's able to make it back to that health pack. But MVP, they're going to have to fast track onto the point.
And they really, really are if they want to try to hold this. Already 1/3 nearly taken here. Climax coming back up into the high ground. Daily as well in retreat here to try to save him. He will actually save himself with that heal. Daily comes up with the assist, trying to distract to get everyone back on the point. Kuki is down. Climax does get picked afterwards as well. And suddenly MVP space forced back here. And Freecs Red does continue to control. Loggerman does have that first Graviton Surge available here.
That is impressive. Getting a Graviton Surge before your Ana has her ultimate. Really good stuff by Loggerman. You can see he's going to be trying to line it up. Does find it, trying to get into the back line. Flashbang comes out so far. 2 kills picked up as Dala takes them out. Still doesn't even have to use his own ultimate to pick up those kills. Just firing away with those machine guns. And that's pretty much going to be a wipe coming through in favor of Afreeca Freecs. They'll maintain control, and MVP Space having considerably a harder time on this first point than their counterparts did.
Definitely so. 2 minutes left on the clock here. Climax trying to find an angle to make this tack visor worth it. They can't even enter the door right now. Big flame strike hits him there as well. He's gonna have to step back and heal. Okay, they're gonna commit to trying to go around the house here on the backside. Climax gonna stay up here on the high ground alone to keep distracting. He's looking for that shield to turn the other way so he can use that tack visor.
Oh, they're going to go ahead and nano boost him. He pops the attack visor, but he has to back off immediately because the Deadeye comes out from Mattoon. It's a perfect zoning tool being used by him. Won't find a kill, but it doesn't matter. He already got so much profit. He'll be able to get a little bit of damage in with that nano boost before it expires as well. Gets sucked up into that Graviton Surge. However, Xenocide with high energy is just going to be ripping through. Takes out Navi and Mattoon, and the rest of the team does fall. It looks like this might finally be the cap for MVP Space. All members of Afreeca Freecs dead. They will cap this, but considerably slower than we saw Afreeca Freecs take.
Yeah, they had to use a lot of ultimates in order to do that, so we'll see if they can have that dominant follow-up that Afreeca Freecs did after that first cap, because they were really, really able to get that push in really fast. Space here, pushing Daily into the front. He used his self-destruct earlier with that combo. Just looking for picks, trying to distract so they can get that free push here. Graviton Surge used against them, and it's 3 picks for Red, so it's really going to hurt the push of Space. And they just, as you said, don't have the same momentum that Afreeca Freecs did on their attack.
Yeah, they shove right back out, and now they can sit in this choke point in front of the spawn if they really want to and just keep ripping through MVP. So they're going to make this as hard as humanly possible for them to get this payload moving. We saw Afreeca, all immediately dive onto the payload. They got it shoved up towards the saloon almost instantly, and things are going to be considerably more difficult for MVP. As you can see, can't even all group up on it yet.
Yeah, well, this is because the Afreeca Freecs is split in different directions. We've got, at the back, A-Tune is looking for this pick from behind, while Take This is setting up for potential Earth Shatter, kind of splitting the team in 2 parts here. Doesn't end up using the Earth Shatter. Actually has the Demon coming in. Now he drops it down. A huge Flame Strike as well. Dala gets the kill on Climax. That's all the DPS gone. Kuki taken out as well. And the Freecs are really leading this one. Dominant performance on this defense. And Dala trying to get a second pick there onto Climax. Not going to happen.
Yeah, almost had a quadra kill, but Atune dashes forward and takes that one away to really just make sure that they finish off Xenocide. Didn't want him able to back into the base so they could just keep staggering those respawn timers as much as humanly possible. And Afreeca Freecs, they're playing this absolutely to a T. It was a beautiful Earth Shatter coming through from Take This.
Okay, Toon does not have a pulse bomb here to actually pair with this. He's going to try to get in there. There's the self-destruct attempt.
It doesn't matter!
4!
Oh!
A quad kill there. Doesn't need the pulse bomb, I suppose. And
the perfect wombo. And that's what happens when Kuki swaps off of Reinhardt. He went to the Winston, which just means that you can line up perfectly with that self-destruct and the Graviton Surge. Really well identified by Afreeca Freecs, and MVP Space not really sure what they were thinking by swapping to something like the Winston.
Well, this is really important because getting through this choke point is so difficult, and that's something that the Freecs were able to do early on, but Space could not. So they're funneled into this choke point where the combo happens, where there's no way to get out of that Graviton Surge. So it's super important to get through these hard choke points here. Space is going to go for their own Graviton Surge here. get 2 picks, but it's 2 for 2. Not the same amount of value. Take this, gets the kill on Climax again, removing that DPS, and this push will be held once again.
Yeah, he's low, but he almost has that ultimate back up. Definitely going to be looking to hold on to that. The heals from Quartermain, not enough to keep him alive, so this will be some very crucial time for MVP Space to be able to push the payload, but they're already in under a minute that they have to make it to the other side of the saloon. And it's just looking really grim for them. Daly not able to make it to the top of the building.
That's the worst feeling ever when you're a D.Va, is you can't quite get up there. He's going to go up there now, but he's met with Dala, who's DPSing him the whole time. And they're just going to trade shields against each other, trade that barrier. As this push is nearly now arriving at the second point. Dolly does get slept here. Augerman has another Graviton Surge available in just a moment here.
There it is. That's going to be the self-destruct coming through from take this. Yeah, sorry. It's going to be from Daly.
Yeah. But Etude gets 3 kills here, and that's going to stop the push in its tracks. And with the whole wipe here, Sylph and Undyne, the last 2 to come. 10 seconds to go. Looks like it's going to be a full hold here for Afreeca Freecs Red, looking to take this map in easy, dominant fashion.
Yeah, looks like they're going to tie things up 1-1. Afreeca Freecs Red putting on an exhibition on Hollywood. So we know why this map was chosen. But man, what a showing from them, not allowing MVP to even make it to the first checkpoint on the payload. And that is going to be a really strong showing from them as we look for these hybrid maps and maybe even these 2-point captures, because they held that first point for so long.
Yeah, and when you go into that choke point, that doorway, if you will, it's almost like a gate. It feels like the gate to whether or not you're going to get that first checkpoint or not. And what Afreeca Red was able to do very easily there, because they had a great team fight right after they captured the payload itself, was able to get past that door so quickly that every fight they took was past there, and they had that dive comp that allowed it. But without the dive comp, Space couldn't get through the doorway. It slid back in the doorway after they got it through the first time, and the second time they engaged there, they went into that D.Va combo with the Zarya ult, and that's where they lost the majority of their momentum.
Yeah, Space really swapping around to some questionable hero picks. Gonna have to gather themselves and come back in to the third map with some clear heads. Now tied at 1-1, just 2 wins for either side to take away this best of 5 and move on to the winners match tomorrow. And both of these teams are going to be very thirsty for that. Space need to hold on to their apex slot. Afreeca Red, they said it's finally our time. We didn't make it the first time. To be damn sure we're going to be going for it the second. Looking pretty strong as they come out in that game.
Definitely so. Space having a tougher time in their first game as well. That second game was so dominant. It looks like Reds finally got their rhythm going.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and go to a quick break. When we come back, we'll have our third map, Afreeca Red versus MVP Space. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to day 2 of the Overwatch Apex Challengers Promotion Tournament. I'm Achilleos. Alongside me is Wolf. If you're just joining us, we are into our third match, just about here. Third map, rather.
That's right. Today's map pool for 2-point capture will be Volskaya and Hanamura. The map choice will be MVP Spaces. As we go into this third map, we'll decide which they choose. I personally am a Hanamura fan when it comes to these two. That'd be my pick. We'll see what Space wants to bring to the table. I have a feeling it's going to be Volskaya, but we will wait and see.
I mean, both of these maps certainly interesting. Hanamura, you're a bit more susceptible to being rushed down if that first cap comes in with, several team kills.
It is going to be Hanamura.
Yeah, they will go ahead and select this one. So it looks like we're going to be taking a trip over to Japan. We'll see who's going to come out on top. Tied 1-1 currently in the score. MVP Space picking up a win on Nepal with Afreeca Freecs dominating Hollywood. In case you missed those maps, but a very strong performance from AF Red in that last map. MVP just basically didn't stand a chance. So we'll see how they're going to fare with just a straight up 2-point capture.
There's a lot of high ground on Volskaya. Hanamura not as much. It's a lot more difficult to get to the high ground. There's a lot less access. You have to go through hallways, staircases. It's a lot more difficult to get to that. We'll see if that becomes a factor going to this third game.
Yep, we'll see who's going to be on attack, who will be on defense at the start. As we load in, let's go ahead and jump straight into Hanamura.
I get it.
All right, so we're 66% on getting it today.
Yes, we're leveling up.
Keep us up to date with that statistic to the best of my ability, because the MVP Space will be attacking first. The Freecs Red running out for the defense. So, of course, with this big choke point, looks like they will be running that Roadhog, trying to grab somebody out from around the gate, pull them in, and destroy them. So not going to be seeing a May, which I find to be a bit interesting here from Afreeca Freecs.
Yeah, we may see them switch into it if the Roadhog isn't working out too well. The problem with this map is if it's not working out too well, you might just lose it on the first capture point with a long run back. We are also seeing Space. Oh, they switched it, but they are going to be running the comp with the Winston and Genji with Sylph playing the Tracer. Okay, switching over again. I was going to say, he normally plays the Lucio. With this swap here, we're not going to see the exact same dive comp we saw the Freecs run on attack when they were playing on Hollywood just before. So a little bit different of a dive comp here without the Tracer. It's going to be the Genji instead, with Climax still sticking with that Soldier. It's going to be tough for him to build ult charge in this position, though. As you can see, he's mostly just going to be kind of sitting and waiting.
I find this to be a really interesting dive comp. Actually, they're just going to go ahead and force straight in through over the wall. And then jump on top of Xenocide. And rather Lagerman try to burn him down on that Roadhog. Been able to find the kill yet. Dashing forward, trying to get Na'Vi. He goes low and he actually gets taken down. Xenocide taking him out with those stars. It's going to be exchanges on both sides, but it looks like Space really winning the battle so far, only losing Undyne. Nearly goes low, but he's slowly, steadily getting healed back up, has that armor pop through. And MVP going to be sticking around on top of the point, haven't been able to get too much of a cap going yet.
Okay, A-Tune coming in here as well now. See if he can clear this push. I think this already killed. Actually going pretty low now to pick up this health canister, and actually does get taken out with Daily on the edge there. It's 2 kills, and it looks like Space will simply secure this. In fact, they're going to try to double push this, leaving their but more mobile characters here on the point that can rush right over afterwards. I don't think they're going to get that double, as everyone has set up space. Wanted it, but we see the Freecs red set up very quickly afterwards to prevent that from happening.
Yeah, a bit too staggered on the kills. Coming through from MVP. If they had gotten them all at once, it might have been able to have that rush for the second point. So Afreeca now going to have to hold on for dear life. Climax has that tack visor, sitting up on the high ground right over top of the entranceway. Getting some good shots in on the Loggerman, who goes low. Has to try to hide behind the post there.
Okay, this is huge, actually. He gets Dala. Dala's forced to self-destruct. If he doesn't do so, that's a free tack visor on the high ground. So a smart choice there to actually use that self-destruct. Climax forced away again. Keeps that the tack visor for a follow-up attack. Xenocide going to try to set that up for him, but with a respawn already for Dala, going to be able to use it until he gets the kill, because she will just simply use Defense Matrix to block that attack, which is one of the reasons why it's so difficult to make that work. And it's tough to get on the high ground, as I said. To get up there, you really have to go through these choke points.
Oh boy. Well, already used the dash. Needs to find a kill for the reset. Xenocide kind of botching this Dragon Blade. It's not going to be getting pretty much anything for his troubles there. So no kills coming through for the Genji. And Climax goes down, the DPS, the rest of it going to be halted on the side of MVP. Not sure if they're going to be able to get much done as far as this cap goes. Hook in from Loggerman, not going to find the kill on his Xenocide, still alive for the moment. But Sylph gets knocked down and he gets taken out. The Tifa just standing over top of him, Dala just pumping away with those machine guns.
Climax gets the kill there at the very end on Loggerman, but I think that's all they're really going to get. They're going to have to set up for another push. Daly actually looks like just going to pop off there. I think he used the self-destruct and then jumped off the side, wants to swap here. And time is ticking down with the early cap, and that's pretty common on this map. MVP space does have a lot of time left to set up for another push, and in fact, he does not swap, just wanted to get his mech back faster and respawn with the rest of his team. They don't get desynced on their respawns.
Yeah, now Climax actually going to be swapping off the Soldier, going for that McCree. So going to have to try to stick onto the high ground, poke people out with the headshots, but there's a very real chance that Dala just rushes him on that Diva, gets all up in his face, and blocks his shots and tries to take him out herself.
Roadhog taking a nap there for a minute. Now we're getting into this. Climax trying to do what damage he can. He's going to have to dodge that self-destruct. He does. Undyne unsuccessful in doing so. 2 picks already for Freecs red. And this push again for MVP space totally shut down. They didn't really have any ults. They're trying to build those right now, so it's okay to lose a few of these pushes as they build their ult charges, but I feel like they didn't really get much success with that either. And in fact, we're going to see a pick here onto Sylph as well. Atoon really good at this Tracer today. He's been very successful.
Yeah, I mean, that came in at the perfect time, really, because now Sylph's just respawned, really desyncing from the rest of his squad. He will be able to catch up fairly quickly because he's got that increased move speed, but this is still just good staggering coming out from Freecs, and they're buying as much time as they possibly can. Clock already ticking down about a minute and a half since that first capture came through. So Afreeca just going to be trying to keep the ball rolling where it's currently at. Climax does have the Deadeye available, but again, with that Diva, as long as Dala is there, he's not going to be able to find a shot. Charge coming in, he's going to get pinned and taken out. Take this, ripping right through him.
And he also used his Deadeye and was unsuccessful in getting a kill, so he wastes his ult as well. Loggerman looks like he's going to get a pick here on this Diva. Someone should. Oh, he just wants to let him live, I
he's
guess.
Just trying to wait as long as possible.
That's why he suicides.
They'll sleep dart him in midair. He dies either way.
Yeah, that's the funny thing about the Diva. He just let her live and then just gets no value. He also gets some extra ult charge and self-heal from her attack there. We really have to question, though, is the pick here on Roadhog on the side of MVP space really going to work out? It's so difficult to get hooks on the entry because there's so many safe locations where people just wait on the high ground. It's really hoping for a lucky hook, I really feel.
Yeah,
and
so far
it's successful,
Yeah, it hasn't been very impressive to this point. Loggerman, on the other hand, has been doing some pretty good work with his Roadhog, getting a big hook in on to Daly, working him down to about half HP. He's going to be trying to keep him away so he can't use that self-destruct. Good hook in, takes out Sylph. Big pickup for him. Rashider comes out, however, from Kuki, knocking him down, but he hasn't found a kill yet. They're actually just going to keep the trade in favor of Freecs as they take out Xenocide.
A2 and on the chaser does get knocked down and killed there. Loggerman still in the front. Sleep dart onto him. The charge comes in as well. Kuki going to be taken out.
Oh.
Climax knocked off the side there. A good boop there by Quartermain. And MVP Space shut down again. I feel like you could really see the difference between Loggerman and Xenocide. It's not really a difference in mechanical skill. It's that Roadhog in an open space where you can hook in any direction has so much more hook potential than a Roadhog that's trying to break into tight hallways. Just can't get the picks that Loggerman's able to do, and as a result, he's just a worse Roadhog, not by skill, but just simply by the positioning that is here defensively.
Oh, wow, Loggerman right over top of the entryway, finds Undyne immediately with that hook, and that's going to be such a crucial pickoff for Afreeca Freecs. Didn't have the nano boost available, but you're denying him charge on top of it. MVP looks like they have shown restraint in using their ultimates. They're trying to wait until they have a couple more stacked up. Almost will have all 6 available, but they're less than a minute on this push, so they have to get in there. They're going to have to start using these ultimates to try to take a point.
This is going to be really one of their last pushes here. 50 seconds to go. They have so many ults. They don't have the Earth Shatter, though. Here comes the first self-destruct used defensively here by Dolly. He's going to go ahead and remac up. They're going to try to push Daly out here. Ooh, it would be so nice to catch him here.
Oh,
Not
yeah.
get the kill.
He's going to get slept, but Climax is in the back line still. Or gets taken out rather by a Toon. And now he can dash forward. 30 seconds remaining. MVP, they get shut out yet again.
They didn't use
They didn't get to use any ultimates in that exchange. Kooky almost got the Earth Shatter up, but they didn't really work out for them. And now with just a couple seconds remaining, Afreeca, they might be able to hold the second point.
This is going to be the last chance for Space. They decide to wait till the second and final push to use their ults together. Deadeye's going to come out first, very likely. See an attempt to pick on that McCree by a Toon. He's unable to do so. Going now into the Ana, trying to kill Undyne here, distracting him though, keeping on the back. Overtime here is begun. And they still haven't used self-destruct yet. In fact, they did, and Daly doesn't get anybody with it. Loggerman gets taken out. Climax trying to get the picks here to give them the opportunity to come into that point. But overtime ticks down. Climax doesn't even go onto the point. And it is just going to be one cap. Afreeca Freecs holds the second point.
Yeah, it was all on Climax at the end there. Popped the Deadeye, didn't really find anything for it, but a Toon on this Tracer has been popping off, just going straight into the back lines and just shredding through the members of MVP Space, finding Undyne, killing him off, and then he found about a triple kill, I think, as well in the time that it took for Climax to just use the Deadeye. So this has been such a crucial pick for Afreeca Freecs with a Toon on that Tracer.
Well, this is not over just yet, as we will have the counterattack to see if the Freecs can take that first point at least to force the extra round. But just the choice to continue using Roadhog there by Xenocide, I feel like was what really cost Space. No hooks almost whatsoever going on to the attack on the second point. And every time he tried, it was just no value.
Yeah,
whereas Loggerman was out of control.
I have to agree with you. I definitely think that that swap should have come through, but take a look at this. Wolf, we get a special treat. Undyne has started, and he is playing Torbjorn.
That he has. So we'll see how this one plays out here. This is not solo queue. This is a professional match. Yeah, it's Space really
Korean
needs...
Torbjorn sounds so funny.
He does. He's real mad, but he's trying to build things. Actually, almost shows himself there. Get back, Torbjorn. You need the element of Torbjorn surprise. And we'll see him set up a turret on the point. Looks like he's going to put it on the stairs here, so it gives a little bit more protection from heroes trying to come around the outside as well. And it's a hard angle to be picked off. You really have to go towards the far edge to hit it going inside as well.
I'm really curious to see how this one's going to work out. Afreeca, of course, not going to be running with the Sombra. Toon currently on Widowmaker. Is he going to swap? No, he's going to stick with this. All right, we're getting some really interesting picks coming into this game. And hell, I'm really hyped. So Toon going to be looking to try to just knock down those healers or chunk out the tank so they can push in safely into the base. He already finds Undyne, almost takes him out of the Torbjorn. Is able to find him straight through the window. Climax on top of the side building, not going to get picked off.
He tries to go for the mid-air shot as well on Climax, which is pretty bold. He tries to go for it. Loggerman here going to easily take out this turret. Avoids the charge, gets the kill on Kooky. And this is a great start already for Afreeca Freecs Red. Undyne's going to stick with the Torbjorn. He's not going to switch off. He's already built 60% of his molten core, but he's not even here.
This is such a bad idea, honestly, if you're MVP Space, to stick with this Torbjorn. First point already going over to Afreeca Freecs. They have 7 minutes to try and take this second point. And MVP Space, if they want to win this map, if they want to force that tiebreaker, they have to hold that entire time.
It's going to be a big challenge here. We actually see the boost here going down onto Attune. Let's get the heal block against him. He gets a pick on Sylph anyways. See if we can find anything else. Doesn't look like it, but they've already gotten half of this point. And MVP Space desperate to hold here. Climax going very low, heals himself up. Will actually go down here, and this is a big problem. This could actually be a very quick double cap for Freecs Red.
Yeah, Undyne swapping over to the May. Definitely the pick he should have gone for off the bat instead of the Torbjorn. It was a really risky pick, and it absolutely did not pay off. The tune on that Widowmaker, making quick work of him, and now, just like that, in 40 seconds, Afreeca Freecs Red take out this third map. They will have a lead, and now it's going to be match point. One more map win, and they will be moving on to the winners match tomorrow.
Torbjorn comes out early, gets sniped, can't actually protect his turret, and the next thing you know, you got a Reinhardt walk in straight into the base and takes out the turret, gets the pick on Kuki, and that's really all she wrote. We saw Climax kind of zoned out by the Widowmaker play as well. And funny as it is, Widowmaker is kind of one of the counters to Torbjorn, and they picked it blind. They didn't know Torbjorn was going to be there unless they have some sort of inside information about how Space is running this map. And it turns out they didn't even need the Widowmaker to kill the turret because there was nothing to support it. The Widowmaker could, of course, just pick the turret off at range or pick off Torbjorn. Got the Torbjorn pick early, and with that momentum, goes straight in. We didn't even see the switch off Torbjorn. Undyne stayed with it on the second point, didn't go for the May as you described. It was going to be tough either way with that quick capture on the first point, but if you were ever wondering, was Torbjorn the right choice, I think the answer here is clearly no.
I think if you're going to go for some wacky pick, and I'd say wacky, and maybe it's not as applicable to Symmetra at this point, but I think that, you know, if you're in that situation, it's like, what can I do that's a little bit off meta? I think Symmetra makes way more sense on Hanamura than it does for the Torbjorn to come out, but they wanted to try something and they got punished for it, so now Afreeca Red is going to be one win away from that winner's match. Our fourth map here will be Route 66, another one that we didn't get to see yesterday, so we will be coming onto this.
Yeah, well, this is going to be a map where Space can use, Climax on the high ground with Soldier, and they might be able to have Xenocide get value out of Roadhog. It's a much better map for him overall on attack or defense. So I like this map choice with these two players in mind that are so locked into their heroes right now.
It's just if this is going to go anything like Hollywood, which is a hybrid, this is going to be a straight payload map. But we saw Afreeca Freecs Red absolutely destroy on Hollywood. And you have to ask the question, is it going to be the same for just a straight up payload? Let's not guess and conject over this. Let's go ahead and dive onto our fourth map. We're headed to Route 66.
I get it.
All right, well, I just checked. Conject is actually a word. I was a little bit worried after that one. I was like, I don't know if conject is a word. It's an informal, but I at least was not a complete idiot on that one. But we got it.
I believed in you the whole time. I knew it was a word.
I have made up some words on the cast in the past, so I always need to be careful about whether or not I'm doing it.
Achilleos teaching people new vocabulary right from the start.
I mean, if LOL can be in the dictionary, if Webster's will add that to their dictionary, I think that I'm allowed to invent a couple words of my own.
Oh, absolutely. I completely agree with you on that one. Now, we're going to see Afreeca Freecs Red on the defense keep Dala here on the Diva. Not going to have him on Genji, as we saw on the previous hybrid map. He did eventually switch over to the Diva. But Attune sticking with that Tracer. He's found so much success versus Space here. And Climax, at least initially here, going to be on the Widowmaker. Might just switch to the Soldier. Okay, there's the switch we were expecting. And on the attack, Soldier very powerful. Xenocide going to be running Genji, though. Not going to try to go for picks with Roadhog from the right side.
I really don't like this composition from Space. It hasn't really worked out for them yet. They're going for a pseudo dive comp. There's not the Tracer from Climax to back up the Genji and the Winston, and there's also not the Zenyatta, which is what we see the top tier teams run when it comes to their their dive compositions. Instead, we're going to be still sticking with that Lucio, sticking with that Ana, and the Lucio is going to be completely worthless when everybody jumps into the back line.
Yeah, whenever you see something like this, it feels like you're taking a half measure instead of a full measure on this type of composition, and it makes me wonder if Climax's Tracer is just not good enough. He gets picked off, meanwhile, by the way, by Dala, goes in. Xenocide gets the pick on Navi, but Attune free to roam now around and find damage. He's going to get the pick on Xeno, and this looks like the beginning of potentially the end for Space. If Attune is able to get this damage done consistently, just like we saw already on Hollywood, I'm really, really worried about MVP here.
Yeah, I mean, Tracer is something that should be in pretty much any DPS player's wheelhouse. There's going to be times where you have to pick that hero, and so far it just seems like Climax wants to stray away from that. He's been playing the Soldier, been playing the McCree, but so far it hasn't really been a necessary fit into their compositions, and it hasn't been working out for them. Lockerman going to find that pick onto Kuki. So just getting rid of that Winston, and immediately half your dive threat is gone.
This is a great map for Roadhog, and we talked about the reasons right before, but Loggerman again, just hitting these hooks consistently. Climax way out of position here. It was so risky. He's running into Dala as well. Looks like Xenocide will get picked off here, but Climax just not able to find that damage. Additionally, now has a few windows of opportunity, but his teammates are all down, and he has to leave. He can't fight here alone. Gets the tag visor, not going to use it. Going to pop his heal to survive a bit longer. Meanwhile, Attune now getting left alone once more.
Let's get taken out there. Yeah, Climax, he pops the ultimate, does find the kill onto Attune, which is going to get rid of a big nuisance on the side of Afreeca Freecs red. Self-destruct, not going to find anyone, but it does kind of zone them away from the payload for a little bit longer. And it does buy Dala and the rest of the squad some time. Big Earth Shatter coming out from Take This, and he's going to go ahead and get nano boosted. Just charging and swinging away, trying to pop that D.Va mech. Won't be able to find it. And Loggerman using that whole hog, also just trying to keep people as far away from this payload as possible. Looks like they might be able to get a pick onto that Lucio. Undyne going low, but is able to stay alive.
The sound barrier comes up here paired with it, but the Violet Grenade does get hit here on the Xenocide, meaning he has to leave. He gets picked off by Attune, and Attune really, alongside Loggerman, really have been the story of the defenses of Afreeca Freecs Red, not only here, but on Hanamura. Attune still has his pulse bomb, wanted to get up there onto the high ground, missed the recall slightly there, but this is a held push for the time being. MVP stays struggling to get back on. Loggerman gets the hook onto Kuki, and Dala zoning out this DPS on Climax once more, forcing him to use his self-heals. He gets pushed off of it, and the Boop here trying to protect him. He will eventually go down. Soldier can never deal with the D.Va. It's always going to be a D.Va win there. There's no one to protect him.
Yeah, but Navi's actually gone down to the back line. Taylor was able to find him, I believe, with his own self-destruct. So a good pick, but MVP Space, they haven't been able to capitalize on this. Now with Undyne going down, coming back up, this is just going to really elongate the hold for Afreeca Freecs. They still have those two ultimates. Attune's throwing out the pulse bomb. Not going to be of much consequence as he can just build one up very quickly with these big meaty targets that can eat all of his bullets.
He's got recall available, don't forget right now.
We're 25 seconds down.
I mean, this could be a full hold. Daly out of the suit right now as well, trying to charge up his mag. Decided not to kill himself, and he's regretting it now as there's no way to build charge here. So he's basically just essentially useless right now, might as well be dead. Loggerman about to have full hog, which can help zone here. 10 seconds to go, and Space has one last chance here. They have the pulse bomb, they have the tac visor. Nothing else really, no sound barrier.
Oh, big hook on the Xenocide, getting rid of that Tracer, immediately stopping all hope of that pulse bomb coming out, at least until he can respawn. Whole hog coming through, gets a lot of damage, pushing him off the payload, and a beautiful hook on the Sylph, lining things up very well so far for Afreeca Freecs. And with everybody dead, Xenocide the last one alive, can he dash in time? He will be able to tag the payload, but has to recall, doesn't have any more dashes, and that's going to be a full hold by Afreeca Freecs Red.
3 players for MVP Space switched after Apex. Those 3 players are Climax, Undyne, and Xenocide. And if I had to point fingers at players that have made mistakes in the series, have not been able to adapt in hero picks, it comes down to these 3. Undyne's the player who played Turbulent on Hanamura. Climax unable to switch off the Soldier, and Xenocide trying to force these picks, was not a good tracer in that last game, and the Roadhog he was trying to force to work on Hanamura was just not good enough. And I feel like these 3 players are the weak links for Space right now, whereas Afreeca Freecs Red has built compositions consistently that empower Attune on that tracer, and he is running away with these games.
Yeah, Attune has just been so instrumental for Afreeca Freecs thus far in this set. And MVP Space, they need to stop the payload from going a paltry 68 meters. If they can't do that, they will be falling into the losers match that I believe will take place in about 2 days' time. And it's really hard to expect that they can do this. It's been a really rough road for them since the beginning. MVP Space. That Nepal win that they got at the beginning of the set was the first map win that they have had since Apex began.
Yeah, they're very first, and maybe their last here, at least as far as tonight goes. And we'll see. I'm excited to see if Afreeca Freecs Red runs the same dive comp that they brought on Hollywood, as I imagine Attune will switch off the Widowmaker into Tracer, put it down to very similar. Lagerman keeping with the Roadhog, which I said earlier, even on attack, very strong on this map. Not going to switch to the Winston. Take this staying on that Reinhardt. We'll see if they switch to the last second here. Doesn't look like it. Looks like they want to actually run this Widowmaker for real, at least initially. They might switch again afterwards to the Tracer. Going to look for some picks here.
I am all for this.
Yeah, you're a big Widowmaker fan. I know it.
I mean, if he can get a pick on the Climax, that is a massive opening for Afreeca Freecs. The rest of MVP, they'll get chunked out. I mean, he can get Sylph as well. With the kill as they are, just going to be running that 4-tank, 1 heal, 1 DPS composition. Attune's not finding too many crucial shots yet. With that heal deny on the Zeta side, could be going down. There we go, Lagerman able to take him out.
Now, Lagerman actually survives
Woo!
too. Like, Lagerman just sat there under the soldier, self-healed there, built up a ton of ult as well. And this ended up being not the exact push that Afreeca Freecs wanted. We'll see if Attune swaps here. Daily does get heal denied and pushed off here, killed already. Attune does switch to the Tracer. Lagerman sticking with the Roadhog for now. I'm going to switch to the Winston, but this push is nearly completed. They need to get Kuki on the point.
Yeah, it's just 6 more meters, 5 more meters. Kuki, he can't push forward. The rest of the team isn't here. 1 meter to get it in. They just can't do it, Kuki.
Kuki charged in. He didn't even try to hold there. If he charges in, he can't hold the point. And that's it. Afreeca Freecs Red will take the series. A good start for Space, but I have to say dismantled 3 maps in a row right afterwards, and that's going to be a 2-1 win. But that was a pretty embarrassing finish there.
That was a sad
Space.
attempt. That was a very sad attempt at a hold by Space and by Kuki. Not playing onto the payload. They got like 6 free meters when they were already under like 10 meters that they needed. At MVP Space, seems like this this off-season, I guess we could call it for them, hasn't been going so well for them. Meanwhile, Afreeca Freecs Red, they have a strong showing. But that being said,